Welcome back to Wordy Wednesday. Well, today we are going to talk about two issues that create a lot of problems for people, and they are creating problems for people today more than they have done so in the past. So we're going to talk about what the issues are and why it's now becoming more of a problem than it ever used to be. The first is reflexive pronouns, and that's an easy subject because there are only 9 of them. And the second is units of measurement when they're used as adjectives or modifiers. So, when we come back. Okay, let's start with reflexive pronouns. As I mentioned in the intro, there are only 9 of them, so it's not an overwhelming subject, but these are words that are misused very commonly. So what are they? Myself, yourself, himself, herself, oneself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, themselves. There is no themself at this point in time, but I predict one day there will be. So, what are they used for? A reflexive pronoun is a pronoun that refers back to a pronoun subject. In other words, when the object and the subject of the sentence are the same. So, I am the object of the sentence, or if I am the subject of the sentence, I. And if I am also the object of the sentence, I'm doing something to me. So, I cried myself to sleep. We do not generally say things like, I cried me to sleep. That's just not how we say it. However, since there was a time when we didn't have this whole concept of a reflexive pronoun, we might well have said something like, I cried me to sleep. So, language change, new set of words, but these words have a very specific usage. John bought himself a shirt. There was a time when it would have been perfectly appropriate to say, John bought him a shirt. That was normal. Language has changed. John did not buy him a shirt today. John bought himself a shirt. Now, it's easy to see why that change would have been necessary. For example, John took his father to the store and bought him a shirt. What are we saying? We're saying that John bought his father a shirt when we say it that way. But John took his father to the store and bought himself a shirt. Now we know the shirt is something John bought for John. So, as language developed and we found ways to gain more clarity in our sentence structure, we also created some problems. The biggest problem that we see with reflexive pronouns is when they are used in place of the object pronoun as opposed to the subject pronoun, me, him, her, them, and instead saying himself, herself, myself. So let me give you an example. The forum is being held by John and myself. No, it isn't. The forum is being held by John and me. It's not that hard. So why does this happen? Well, there's this whole phenomenon now that's informally called business speak. And it's when we have this weird corporate vocabulary that comes out of the business world, is used in the business world, and makes about as much sense as the business world in general. You can forward the correspondence to John and myself. You can forward the correspondence to John and me. It's not myself needs me to refer back to, and me is not in that sentence. And you will hear this when it's the subject of the sentence too. John and myself conducted the meeting. No, John and I conducted the meeting. So why does this happen? It's the sort of thing that happens when people are confused about whether or not to use the word I or me in the sentence, and we've talked about that. Leave John out and just say, I or me. That's the easy way to do it. But somehow when we have a compound subject, John and I, John and me, well, in that case, it's compound object. It's like our brains sort of fly out the window the minute we throw another person into the equation. Well, that shouldn't be happening because we don't make these mistakes, at least not as frequently, if we're not talking about John too. I conducted the meeting. John and I conducted the meeting. We would never say myself conducted the meeting. So why would we say John and myself conducted the meeting? Again, it's that confusion about I, me. We see the same thing with him, her, and he, she. And as I say, it's widely considered that this is something that came out of this whole corporate speak when the corporate world is attempting to alter the general rules of speaking because they're big business and they think they can. So what do we need to know? Again, same thing as when you're using I or me. Leave the other people out. If the sentence makes sense with I or me, that's what you put in. Instead of saying you can leave the papers at the end of the day with John or myself. No, that's wrong. You could leave the papers with John and me. How do we know this? Leave John out. You can leave the papers with me. We would not say leave the papers with I. So this is the same rule of thumb. Scoot John out of the way and the sentence structure that you will use becomes instantly clear to you. Part of the problem, and I've mentioned this before, is people do this. I still remember President Obama saying something to the effect of, people have sent Michelle and I a lot of letters. No, they haven't. They've sent Michelle and me a lot of letters. And you just want to say, for heaven's sake, President Obama, you were not raised by wolves. Why would you say such a thing? It's that whole I, me, he, him, she, her problem that it's just confusing to people. And what's happening now is enough people are making these mistakes in forums that are public enough so that when the president says it on national television, you start to stop and say, well, maybe that's what I'm supposed to be saying. Well, it's not. So, reflexive pronouns, you need you need the first pronoun in there. Remember, it's a reflexive pronoun is a pronoun that applies to another pronoun, something you're doing to yourself. He's doing to himself. She's doing to herself. They're doing to themselves. You know, they bought themselves lunch after work. You know, it's just that simple. And I'm not even sure why or how it became so crazy complicated, because, as I've said many times, if you pare your sentence down, remove all the fluff, it becomes very obvious how the words are supposed to work. Now, themself is not a word, because them is plural, so it would have to be themselves. The suffix needs to match the word, and selves is the plural suffix. Self is a singular suffix. So why do I say that eventually we are going to have themselves? That's because people, and I guess the politically correct term is non-binary, people who don't wish to be identified as he or she. No idea why, but they don't want to. And they prefer to be identified as they or them. These are my pronouns, they, them, their. There's a television show called Billions, and there's a character on it, and that character apparently has their own pronouns. I got very jealous. I want my own pronouns too. I'd like to know where to get them. As I said before, I like thon. I think that will be my pronoun. Thank you very much. But apparently there is a group of people who feel that they're going to choose their own pronouns. Good for them if they can get away with it. I do think eventually the non-gender specific third person singular, which we don't have in our language, it's thon, we used to have it, but it's now being sort of shunted over to they or them. Any student who is going to miss the exam, they should give me a call. That's happening. Dictionaries are recognizing it. Eventually, everybody will recognize this. I do believe that's where we're heading. So I think it is inevitable that themself will become a word in order to accommodate this, so that if you wish to refer to a third person whose gender is unknown, instead of saying themselves, plural, we will start to say themself, singular. But as I've said before, language changes. Language change is normal. And eventually, I believe themself will become a word. I'd rather we use thon, but that's just me. So when you're using a reflexive pronoun, remember the only time this is actually to be used is when it is referring back to another person or thing. So, and that's the way it is with pronouns. We discussed this before. Pronoun substitutes for a noun. So, give the paper to John or myself. No, because I'm not anywhere in there. It's give it to me. All right, so hopefully that has cleared up a really bizarre little word situation. Part of my problem with it is it just seems it's almost as if somebody is saying, give the paper to John and the dog. That's how alien it is to me. Is give the paper to John or me. John or I will conduct the meeting. It's not John or myself will conduct the meeting. As I say, for me, you might as well throw in the word dog because it's so alien. And so it's hard for me to wrap my head around why people use this, because it's such a flagrant abuse of words that have specific meanings. But I hope that has made it a tiny bit more clear. The other one I wanted to talk about, and this came up as a result of a viewer comment. When we use increments of measurement as modifiers, and it's like as adjectives, we do not pluralize them. For example, a 4-year-old child, a 2-day layover, a 10-foot building, a 3-inch gap. All of those words, if they were not being used as modifiers, would be pluralized. 3 inches, 4 years, 2 days. But when we use increments of measurement as modifiers, they're basically functioning as a string of words that are collectively functioning as an adjective. We do not pluralize them. And that's today. In book club, we have been reading Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. So that was written in the very early 1800s. She started it in 1796. It was published in 1818, I think. So 200 years ago, let's say. She refers to a 2 hours layover in at an inn. She not only pluralizes it, but she pluralizes it and creates the possessive. We do not do that today. That was not incorrect for Austen at her time. At her time, that's how it worked. On the other hand, in Austen's day, she would not have said 2.5 years. She would have said 2.5 years. So there are a lot of small language changes that have come about. So why do we do this? A 3-inch gap. Because we are talking about 3 inches in 1 unit. So in other words, it's not 3 separate word inches, separate word together. At one time, something like that would have been hyphenated, and it would have been 3-inch gap. 4-year-old child would have been 4-year-old. So we were connecting them and sort of creating a new word out of them. When we talk about a 10-foot building, we would not say a 10-feet building. If we were talking about 10 feet of building, 10 feet of the frontage of this building is covered with snow. Yes, because it's not being used as an adjective. When you're using measurements in their adjective form, yes, we have different rules. I do not know why. In other words, I can't say to you, here's the logical reason why we do this. I can tell you how to identify it, because when you are identifying it is that group of words functioning collectively creates an adjective. Collective function of word, one adjective. A 4-year-old boy. 4-year-old is functioning collectively as an adjective. It is describing the boy. Perhaps that's why. Perhaps someone decided that 4 years, or 4 year, should be singular because it's one boy. A 3-inch gap should be singular because it's one gap. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if there is an answer to this. What I know is that the way we identify it is that whole little cluster of words, 4-year-old, 3-inch, just seen collectively, is functioning as a single adjective. It's conveying one thought, modifying the noun in one direction and one direction only. It's not multiple adjectives. For example, the tall green building. 2. It's 1. So, do we say 10 feet ladder? No. 10-foot ladder. 4-year-old boy? No. 4-year-old boy. 3 inches gap, or as Jane Austen did, 2 hours delay? No. Now I can tell you why Austen did it. Because it would have been a delay of 2 hours, and the reason she would have created a possessive on that is it would have been 2 hours worth of delay. It made sense in her day. But again, language change has shifted. So now it would be a 2-hour delay. That simple. So hopefully this has clarified some things for you. I wish I had better explanations about the why of this. But very often language change happens almost arbitrarily, or it will happen because it just seems simpler this way, and perhaps that's what happened. Again, best I can tell you is with these measurements, it's the whole cluster of words creating one single adjective. In other words, it's modifying the noun in one way and one way only, as opposed to multiple adjectives, 4 boys, 4 years. No, it's a 4-year-old boy, singular, one boy, and we are describing that boy. So I know, very confusing. In this case, I would say just memorize the rule and be done with it, because it's not going to be easy to come up with some way to wrap your head around something that to you might seem as logical as a 2 hours delay seemed to Jane Austen. Let's face it, in her day, that's what made sense. In our day, things have changed. It's all different. Okay, let me just very quickly get to the good stuff. We have 3 giveaways that were on our Wordy Wednesday agenda, and these were the 3 refrigerator magnets that were so graciously donated by Suzanne Urban. And I want you to all check out her shop over on Etsy. I'll give you a link. I know I'm going to do some Christmas shopping there because she has some wonderful, snarky little refrigerator magnets. Our winners, love history. Get in touch. You have a magnet coming to you. Shannon O'Brien, get in touch. You have a magnet coming to you. Charles Ross, you have a magnet coming to you as well. So let me know, get back to me, and I will tell you where to write to send me your address, and I will ship out your magnets. And since they are all wonderful black cat magnets, I am hoping we're going to be able to get these out to you by Halloween. Fingers crossed. It's only a few days away. So get in touch. Let me know. I will send them out to you. All right, so if there are things you would like us to address on Wordy Wednesday, let me know. Just shoot a note in the comments. Tell me what it is you would like addressed, and we will indeed see about taking a look at it. I don't have the answer to everything, but I know where to find it. All right. In the meantime, have a great day. I'm sorry Audie was not here with us. I redid this video 3-4 times. I had to restart it because Audie was here with his tail up my nose. Audie is going out for Halloween as me, and these are Audie's glasses. I thought they were cute. He doesn't seem to want to wear them. I'm having a problem. So eventually, that's how I was able to get him to leave me alone so I could make the video. I said, well, if you're going to be in my lap, we're going to wear the glasses. And he just resolutely refused. I think I'm going to have a problem. So we'll have to see how Halloween works out. All right. Tomorrow evening, Thursday, my apologies, Thursday, 8 o'clock, book club. We are finishing up Northanger Abbey, and we will be choosing our new book as of tomorrow. All right. Have a great day, everyone. I will see you for book club. If I do not see you for book club, I will see you on Friday.